Michigan woman's body inside a fertilizer tank on property belonging to her husband.
Imagine searching for someone you love for over 3 years, covering every corner, following every lead, never knowing they were right there the whole time. For 1,200 days, Dee Warner's family searched desperately for answers. They organized search parties. They hired private investigators. They followed tips across state lines. And for 1,200 days, Dee was less than 4 miles from home, sealed inside a metal tomb that everyone walked past without a second glance. This isn't just a story about a missing person. This is the story of how a single text message, one letter, would expose a killer, how a successful businesswoman was erased from her own life, and how the perfect hiding place was hidden in plain sight. If you're new to this page, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a case. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light. April 24th, 2021, 10:52 p.m. A phone buzzes in Lenawee County, Michigan. The screen illuminates with a single letter, just one character that would haunt investigators for years to come. K. Lenawee County woman who's been missing since 2021. Would it help to have answers? Absolutely, even if they're bad. Even if they're bad. At this point, we've gone a year not knowing. Not knowing is so much worse than knowing. If we had answers, we could grieve and mourn and continue with life. But this consumes our life every single day. The mother of 5 has been missing for years now, and her brother believes...
Today marks 1 year since police found a missing Michigan woman's body inside a fertilizer tank on property belonging to her husband.
Imagine searching for someone you love for over 3 years, covering every corner, following every lead, never knowing they were right there the whole time. For 1,200 days, Dee Warner's family searched desperately for answers. They organized search parties. They hired private investigators. They followed tips across state lines. And for 1,200 days, Dee was less than 4 miles from home, sealed inside a metal tomb that everyone walked past without a second glance. This isn't just a story about a missing person. This is the story of how a single text message, one letter, would expose a killer, how a successful businesswoman was erased from her own life, and how the perfect hiding place was hidden in plain sight. If you're new to this page, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a case. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light. April 24th, 2021, 10:52 p.m. A phone buzzes in Lenawee County, Michigan. The screen illuminates with a single letter, just one character that would haunt investigators for years to come. K. Lenawee County woman who's been missing since 2021. Would it help to have answers? Absolutely, even if they're bad. Even if they're bad. At this point, we've gone a year not knowing. Not knowing is so much worse than knowing. If we had answers, we could grieve and mourn and continue with life. But this consumes our life every single day. The mother of 5 has been missing for years now, and her brother believes that the man behind bars is someone he's suspected all along. We got a warrant for your arrest, buddy. Put your hands behind your back. Are you serious? Yes. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back. Back to that Saturday morning when Dee Warner woke up with a secret that would seal her fate. April 24th, 2021. Morning. Deanne Warner opened her eyes that Saturday with a decision burning in her chest. At 52 years old, this mother of 5 and successful businesswoman had finally made up her mind. Today was the day she would tell her husband of 15 years that their marriage was over. For 5 generations, Dee's family had called Lenawee County home. The rolling fields, the tight-knit farming community, the land that her ancestors had worked. But now at 52, those same fields felt less like a sanctuary and more like a cage. Dee Warner wasn't just any farm wife. Born in 1968, she had an entrepreneurial fire that set her apart from day one. She built DDW Investments from nothing, a thriving trucking company that operated right from the barns in her backyard. People knew her, respected her, that infectious smile, that generous heart. But on this Saturday morning, something was different. Dee had an appointment scheduled, eyelash extensions, routine maintenance. But when she walked into that salon, her esthetician, Kelly Jo Stasic, immediately knew something was terribly wrong. Dee was crying, her eyes were puffy, swollen, hours of tears. Stasic would later tell investigators, when Dee Warner arrived, she was crying and her eyes were puffy. She was upset about the disagreement she was having with her husband, Dale Warner. But here's what's chilling. Despite the tears, despite the obvious distress, Dee scheduled another appointment for the following week. The actions of a woman planning for tomorrow, not someone preparing to vanish forever. Throughout that day, Dee made her rounds. She visited her daughter Amber. She spent time with her son Zach at Amber's house. When Zach saw his mother, he knew immediately. Something was wrong. Dee was visibly upset. She'd been crying for hours. She took her youngest daughter to a soccer game. Any other soccer mom on the sidelines. But inside, she was preparing for war. Earlier that day, Dee confided something chilling to her daughter Raquel. Words that would echo with terrifying prescience. I watched Dateline like every night, and Dale could do something like that to me. Think about that. Dee Warner, watching true crime shows, telling her daughter that her own husband could murder her just like the cases she saw on TV. She wasn't being paranoid, she was being prophetic. That afternoon, Dee texted multiple people, including her adult children. The message was clear. She was done. Done with this marriage. She told her son Zach she would sign all her portions of the Warner businesses over to him. But Dee's day was about to take a dark turn. That evening, Dee found herself in the middle of a heated three-way argument. Her husband, Dale, an employee named Todd Neighbors, the subject, the trucking business, money, betrayal. Dee felt that Neighbors was backstabbing her, making decisions behind her back, undermining her authority in her own company. And Dale? Dale consistently sided against her. Neighbors had been working for the Warner businesses since the mid-2000s. He'd eventually taken over running the trucking operations, but Dee suspected something wasn't right. She felt betrayed. At 8:34 p.m., Dee made a decision that may have saved her daughter's life. She sent their 9-year-old daughter Angelina to stay with a friend for the weekend. The child wouldn't witness whatever was about to unfold between her parents. What Dee didn't know, she had just signed her own death warrant. To understand what happened next, you need to understand Dale Warner. At 56, Dale was a man who had grown accustomed to control. Over their 15 years of marriage, he had systematically isolated Dee, monitored her every move, tracked her car, demanded access to her phone, physical intimidation, psychological warfare. This was his playbook. The argument that night was different. Dale would later admit to investigators that they fought about money and infidelity. He called it the worst argument of his life. But this wasn't just another fight. This was Dee finally standing up to her abuser, demanding her freedom. Earlier that day, Dee had been texting her business manager, Stephanie Wella. The messages revealed just how desperate Dee had become. Wella later testified, Dee told her she was hyperventilating, throwing up. She had told Dale she wanted to sell everything. Everything. For Dale Warner, who viewed his wife as property rather than a partner, this was the ultimate betrayal. At 10:24 p.m., Dee's friend sent her a text message. How are things going? For someone who was known to be talkative, expressive, who texted constantly, what happened next was completely out of character. For 29 agonizing minutes, there was silence. Nothing. Then at 10:53 p.m., Dee's phone responded. Private investigator Billy Little would later explain the significance. She was very talkative, very expressive. She texted a lot. Never once, not one single time, was her response the letter K. So after the friend says, "How are you doing?" No response. Half an hour later, the letter K in the phone gets turned off. That single letter would haunt investigators for years. It was so unlike Dee that her family knew immediately. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. But by then, it was already too late. According to Dale's version of events, a story that would change multiple times over the coming months, the couple somehow reconciled by the end of the night. He claimed Dee fell asleep on the living room floor. He was giving her a massage for her chronically sore neck. Then he carried her to the couch, went to bed himself. But investigators would later discover this story was just the first of many lies Dale would tell about that night. Looking back, the warning signs had been there all along. But what happened next would shock even seasoned investigators. Because when dawn broke over the Warner farm on Sunday, April 25th, 2021, Dee Warner would never see another sunrise. And what her husband did with her body would remain hidden for over 1,200 days. If you're new here, this is the perfect time to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next in this shocking case. April 25th, 2021, dawn. According to Dale's account, Dee was still asleep on the couch when he left for work at 6:30 a.m., snoring peacefully, as if nothing had happened. And then this morning around 6, I got up and, she was snoring away. I texted her and she didn't answer, so I figured, well, she's still sleeping. But investigators would discover that this seemingly innocent detail was actually one of several cracks in Dale's story. Around 9 a.m., Dee's adult daughter, Raquel, arrived at the family farm. Her boyfriend, her young daughter, their traditional weekly Sunday breakfast, a routine they'd maintained for years, 3 generations coming together to share a meal. But when they knocked on the door, no one answered. They called out for Dee. Silence. This was unprecedented. Dee never missed Sunday breakfast. She certainly never failed to answer the door when her daughter arrived. When Raquel finally tracked down Dale on the property, what happened next would chill her to the bone. Dale approached her holding something that shouldn't have been in his possession. Dee's $50,000 wedding ring, a symbol of their marriage that Dee wore every single day. Every single day. Dale claimed he had found the ring on his desk in the office. He explained that Dee had left it there before she disappeared. But Raquel knew her mother would never remove that ring, especially not if she was simply going away for a few days, as Dale was suggesting. The ring was just the beginning. When questioned about Dee's whereabouts, Dale had a story ready. His wife had taken a travel bag, her purse, her phone, her curling iron and hairspray. He suggested she might be staying with another man, maybe even leaving the country. But there were immediate problems with this narrative. Both of Dee's vehicles remained parked on the property, one in the garage at home, another at her office about 100 feet away. How could she have left without transportation? More disturbing was what Dale told investigators about Dee's supposed escape plan. He claimed she had a secret phone for clandestine activities. Deputy Hall captured Dale's exact words on body cam footage. "I told the other kids she's got a second phone. Do you even have my phone number? No, it's a secret phone that she doesn't know that I know she has it." Classic abuser tactic, projecting their own secretive, controlling behavior onto their victim. Dale had been tracking Dee's movements for years, monitoring her communications. But now he was suggesting she was the one with secrets. When Dee's son Zach arrived at the property later that morning with his sister Raquel to search for their mother, Dale's behavior became even more suspicious. Surveillance footage captured Zach arriving at the office where Dee kept her desk, searching through the building, the surrounding areas. When Zach finally encountered Dale on the property, Dale asked him something strange. "You really don't know where your mom is?" When Zach replied that he had no idea, Dale's reaction was notably calm. Too calm for a man whose wife had vanished without a trace. After that Sunday morning, every electronic trace of Dee Warner ceased to exist. Her phone records showed no activity. Her bank accounts remained untouched. Her social media profiles went silent. No credit card usage, no calls, no online activity, nothing. Dee's cell phone had switched from Wi-Fi to cellular service around 11 p.m. on the night of April 24th. Then it went completely dead at 2:30 a.m. on April 25th. For a woman who was constantly connected to her business and her family, this sudden silence was deafening. That text message would be the last anyone ever heard from her. To understand what happened to Dee Warner, you need to understand the life she was desperately trying to escape. This wasn't just a marriage gone wrong. This was a carefully constructed prison that had taken years to build. Dee's daughter Raquel would later testify in court. Her mother was trapped in an extremely toxic relationship with Dale Warner, a household filled with constant tension. Raquel testified that her mother had actually shown her the tracking device Dale had placed on her vehicle. Think about that. He was tracking her like a criminal, but the psychological manipulation was perhaps even more insidious than the physical control. Dale had convinced Dee that she couldn't survive without him, that her business success depended on his involvement, that leaving would result in her losing everything she had worked to build. In December 2020, just 4 months before her disappearance, Dee had tried to leave Dale. She confided in a friend about what happened when she attempted to escape. She told her friend that Dale had turned into the devil, that he wouldn't allow her to take their daughter Angelina if she left. Her final words about that incident were prophetic. "I literally thought he could kill me." The physical violence was becoming more frequent, more severe. Sometime around November or December 2020, Dee showed her business manager, Stephanie Welle, a disturbing injury. A large bump on her forehead, a goose egg roughly the size of a quarter. Her hair was covering it, but it was clearly the result of blunt force trauma. About 5 months before that incident, Dee had told Welle something tragic. She didn't want to leave Angelina alone with Dale. Even then, Dee sensed her husband was dangerous, but she felt trapped by custody arrangements and financial dependence. The control extended to every aspect of Dee's life. Dale monitored her movements, tracked her communications, attempted to isolate her from her adult children from her first marriage. He demanded to know where she was at all times, became increasingly agitated when she spent time with family or friends without his supervision. Welle later testified that Dee seemed uncomfortable when Dale tried to massage her neck and shoulders, especially after a fight. This detail takes on sinister significance when you consider Dale's claim that Dee fell asleep during a neck massage on the night she disappeared. Dale had allegedly asked a farm employee to buy a GPS tracker for Dee's car, to install surveillance cameras around their property. He asked another employee to clone the contents of Dee's phone, giving him access to her private messages and communications. The financial control was equally devastating. Despite Dee being the primary owner of DDW Investments, the driving force behind their business success, Dale had systematically gained access to their joint accounts and business operations. He was spending money at an alarming rate, while Dee worked multiple jobs to keep their ventures profitable. But perhaps most telling was Dale's reaction to Dee's previous attempt to leave. According to court documents, Dale had told Dee that he had already been through one divorce and did not want to go through another one. This wasn't the sentiment of a man hoping to save his marriage. It was the threat of someone who viewed divorce as an unacceptable option. Every new discovery seemed to pull investigators deeper into the nightmare. When Lenawee County Sheriff's Deputy Austin Hall arrived at the Warner property on Sunday evening, April 25th, for a welfare check, Dale's behavior was telling. Remember his bizarre claim about Dee having a secret phone that she doesn't know that I know she has it? This statement revealed Dale's mindset more than he probably intended. He was essentially admitting that he had been spying on his wife, monitoring her activities without her knowledge. The idea that Dee had a secret phone was pure projection. Dale was describing his own secretive, surveillance-based behavior. Dale also told police that Dee had been upset the night before, suffering from a migraine after the argument with employees. He told Hall, "I came home last night and she was really upset. She was talking bad things as far as employees. The one employee decided to quit." Dale continued, painting himself as an innocent bystander in workplace drama. "We got 3 different businesses here, so the tensions are high all the time." But the most disturbing aspect of Dale's conversation with Deputy Hall was what he didn't say. There was no urgency in his voice, no desperate pleas for help finding his missing wife, no emotional breakdown at the thought of losing the woman he claimed to love. Instead, Dale seemed more concerned with explaining why Dee's disappearance was actually quite normal, predictable. When Dee's brother, Greg Hardy, asked Dale directly what had happened to his sister, Dale's response was disturbingly matter-of-fact. Hardy later recalled that Dale mentioned Dee had taken a travel bag, a purse, her phone, and her curling iron and hairspray. It was as if Dale had prepared a shopping list of items that would support his narrative of voluntary departure. But Greg Hardy knew his sister better than that. He knew Dee would never leave without her vehicles, her business, or most importantly, her 9-year-old daughter. The explanation made no sense. Hardy immediately suspected something terrible had happened. As the investigation progressed over the following days and weeks, Dale's behavior became even more suspicious. Instead of cooperating fully with law enforcement or hiring private investigators to find his missing wife, Dale's first priority was protecting himself legally. On Monday, just one day after Dee disappeared, Dale secretly met with someone to change the password on the property's security system. This action suggested consciousness of guilt. Why would an innocent man need to restrict access to surveillance footage that might help locate his missing wife? That same day, rather than organizing search parties or offering rewards for information, Dale went shopping, not for a detective to find his wife, an attorney to protect himself. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together, but the picture they formed was absolutely chilling. And what investigators were about to uncover would reveal that Dale's crimes went far beyond murder. He had been systematically dismantling everything Dee had built, stealing her life's work while she was missing. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. We're halfway through this incredible case. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you stay updated on cases like these. As months passed without any sign of Dee, investigators began uncovering a complex web of financial crimes and deception that painted Dale Warner in an increasingly sinister light. What they discovered was a systematic effort to steal Dee's life's work while eliminating the woman who had built it. According to family friend and spokesperson Catherine Adams, Dale had been embezzling equipment, money, and trucks from DDW Investments, the company that Dee owned and had built from nothing. He was transferring these assets to a new company he created, DDW Transport, leaving Dee's legitimate business with mounting debts and depleted resources. Private investigator Billy Little began working with Dee's family in March 2022. What he discovered was staggering. Using what appeared to be a forged power of attorney from 2014, Dale had transferred virtually all the assets of DDW Investments into a new entity called DDW Transportation, LLC. In August 2021, just 4 months after Dee disappeared, Little explained the implications. You can't even sell your car if both your names are on the title. Yet somehow, Dale had managed to divide assets and transfer ownership of a multi-million-dollar business operation without the consent or knowledge of the woman who owned 50% of the company. The timing was no coincidence. By August 2021, it was becoming clear that Dee was not coming back. Dale needed to secure control of the business assets before questions could be asked about her prolonged absence. Even more disturbing was Dale's decision to sell DDW Transportation to Laidlaw Carriers Bulk in 2022. This sale generated substantial revenue, but instead of that money going to Dee's estate or her children, it went directly to Dale. He had essentially stolen his missing wife's company and sold it for his own profit. The employee who had argued with Dee on her final day, Todd Neighbors, also benefited significantly from these transactions. When Dale sold the trucking business to Laidlaw, Neighbors was immediately hired by the purchasing company as a finance employee. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a reward for his cooperation in Dale's scheme. But Neighbors' involvement went much deeper than anyone initially realized. Little's investigation revealed something chilling. At exactly 3:30 a.m. on April 25, 2021, just hours after Dee disappeared, Neighbors had logged into the company system under a false name and removed lime from the Warner farm. He then drove this lime to Burns Harbor, Indiana, then traveled another 50 miles to a wastewater plant in Chicago to pick up compost. The timing of this early morning activity was impossible to ignore. What legitimate business purpose could Neighbors have had for accessing the farm at 3:30 a.m. on the morning Dee was discovered missing? And why did he use a false name to log his activities? Little had obtained recordings of Neighbors speaking to his massage therapist about his involvement in the case. In these recordings, Neighbors admitted he was involved up to his ears in the D.N. Warner case. He also revealed that Detective Kevin Grieca, who was leading the local investigation, was romantically involved with Neighbors' first cousin, a conflict of interest that should have resulted in Grieca's removal from the case. The financial discoveries extended beyond the business assets. Dee's son Zach testified that he had tried to access an electronic safe at Dale and Dee's home before her disappearance. The combination he normally used was no longer working. When he used a backup key to open the safe, he discovered that a substantial amount of money Dee had stored there was missing. Only Zach and Dee had known the combination and had access to the backup key. Even more revealing was Dale's behavior regarding property division after Dee's disappearance. Little discovered that Dale was attempting to split off a piece of property where Todd neighbors lived, despite the fact that this required approval from Dee, who owned 50% of the Warner farming operation. Little questioned this decision. How could Dale divide the land without the approval of Deanne Warner, who owns 50% of Warner Farms? The answer was simple. Dale was operating under the assumption that Dee would never be able to object to his decisions. The property where neighbors lived had been sold to him under a land contract, but he was nearly $50,000 behind on his payments. Little noted, it's funny that after Dee goes missing, guess who stops making payments on that land contract? Todd. Every new lead seemed to pull them deeper into a nightmare of greed, betrayal, and murder. After 20 months of intensive investigation involving hundreds of hours of detective work by Michigan State Police and Lenawee County prosecutors, authorities finally had enough evidence to act. The breakthrough came not from a confession or a witness, but from the methodical accumulation of circumstantial evidence that painted an undeniable picture of guilt. November 21st, 2023. Michigan State Police announced that they had made an arrest in connection with Dee Warner's murder. Dale John Warner, 58, was taken into custody at his home without incident, charged with open murder and tampering with evidence. At his arraignment on November 22, 2023, Dale appeared in Lenawee County's 2A District Court to face the charges against him. When asked how he pleaded to the charges of open murder and tampering with evidence, Dale responded firmly, "Not guilty." The prosecution requested a bond of $20 million, arguing that Dale posed a significant flight risk and danger to the community. Dale's defense attorney requested that he be released on a reasonable bond. Judge Harwood denied the request. Dale was ordered held without bond pending trial. The arrest validated what Dee's family had believed from the beginning, that Dale was responsible for her disappearance and death. But it also meant confronting the reality that Dee was never coming home alive. Dee's daughter, Raquel Olvie Bach, expressed the family's determination to continue fighting for justice. "This is not over. It's only beginning. We will fight even harder to make sure we get the justice she deserves." But the most devastating discovery was yet to come. For more than 3 years, Dee Warner's body had been hiding in the most obvious place imaginable, right under the noses of investigators, family members, the community that had been searching for her. The location was so audacious, so brazen in its simplicity, that it had taken over 1,200 days to discover. August 17, 2024, Michigan State Police executed a search warrant on Dale Warner's property on Paragon Road in Tipton, approximately 4 miles from the home where Dee had lived and died. This wasn't the first time law enforcement had searched Warner properties, but new evidence and refined investigative techniques had pointed them toward a specific location. What they found would finally bring Dee home, but in the most horrific way imaginable. Hidden inside a barn on the property was an anhydrous ammonia tank, a large metal container typically used for storing fertilizer chemicals for agricultural operations. But this tank contained no ammonia. Instead, investigators discovered that the tank had been resealed and repainted to conceal its contents. When they opened it, they found Dee Warner's remains, welded inside what had become her tomb for over 3 years. It was my mom. Well, it was a body in a tank. The discovery was both a relief and a new source of anguish for Dee's family. August 22, 2024. The Jackson County Medical Examiner positively identified the remains as Dee Warner through dental records. There was no doubt. After more than 3 years of uncertainty, Dee had finally been found. Dr. Susan Schmunk, the medical examiner, officially ruled Dee's death a homicide, though the specific manner of death was withheld pending further investigation. The confirmation brought a sense of finality that the family had been seeking, but it also raised new questions about the cruelty of Dale's actions. The discovery of Dee's body in the anhydrous tank revealed the calculated nature of Dale's crime. This wasn't a crime of passion, not a moment of lost control. It was premeditated murder, followed by an elaborate cover-up designed to hide the evidence permanently. The tank had been professionally welded shut, repainted to match the other equipment on the farm. To anyone passing by, it looked like any other piece of agricultural equipment. Dale had hidden Dee's body in plain sight, gambling that no one would think to look inside what appeared to be a routine piece of farm machinery. For over 1,200 days, as search parties scoured the countryside and investigators followed leads across multiple states, Dee had been less than 4 miles from where she was last seen alive. She had been there through every anniversary of her disappearance, through every birthday her family celebrated without her, through every holiday when her absence was felt most acutely. The silence in that anhydrous tank was louder than any scream. People had walked past that barn countless times. Family members had searched the property. Investigators had combed through the Warner properties looking for any sign of Dee. And all that time, she was right there, sealed inside a farm tank that blended perfectly with the agricultural landscape. The audacity of the hiding place was stunning. It wasn't buried in some remote location. It wasn't hidden in a difficult-to-access area. It was sitting on Dale's property, in a barn, looking like any other piece of farm equipment. It was the perfect hiding place because it was hidden in plain sight. With Dee's body finally recovered, prosecutors began building their case for trial. In May 2025, Dee's family filed a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit against Dale, providing the most detailed account yet of what they believe happened on the night of April 24, 2021. The lawsuit alleges that Dale fatally strangled his wife in their home, then transported her body to the anhydrous tank, where he welded her inside and repainted the container to conceal his crime. The filing details the systematic pattern of abuse that preceded Dee's murder, painting a picture of a man who viewed his wife as property that he could dispose of at will. The case took another disturbing turn in March 2025. Authorities arrested Dale's son, Dee Warner, on charges of evidence tampering and accessory to murder in connection with Dee's death. While the charges were later dismissed, the arrest suggested that the cover-up may have involved multiple family members. Prosecutors alleged that the conspiracy to conceal Dee's murder extended beyond just Dale himself. The involvement of other family members and employees suggests a network of complicity that allowed the crime to remain hidden for over 3 years. In June 2024, during Dale's preliminary hearing, Judge Anna Fruschauer ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the case to proceed to trial. Dale's defense attorney, Mary Chartier, has argued that the prosecution's case relies primarily on circumstantial evidence, that there are alternative explanations for the evidence against Dale. She has requested a change of venue, arguing that pretrial publicity has made it impossible to find an impartial jury in Lenawee.